Let's get down to business. Do the beat. The hands. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. If you're new here, then hi, welcome. It's really nice to meet you. Today's video, I thought that... Sorry, I got hair on my arm. I thought that seeing as a lot of people are going back to uni / some people starting uni, I thought I would do a video explaining my uni experience and sort of some tips. Maybe, I don't really know. I'll do my best. So we're just gonna wing it really and hope that it's okay. So I graduated uni in 2016. I initially did a foundation degree at under Bournemouth University, but I was at a college campus, Bournemouth Arts University I should say. I was under a college campus, so I did my foundation degree of 2 years and then did my third year to get my BA honours in Southampton. So I live far away from Bournemouth. So it was a massive transition for me, living at home all my life and never even really liking staying at other people's houses. I'm very much of a homebody. I like my own things around me, I like my own people around me. I just didn't really like going elsewhere. That may sound really antisocial. I did stay at people's houses, but I just got unsettled a little bit at first because it was not my house. So moving all the way to Bournemouth was a massive shock to my system, and I don't think initially I realised how far it was, but I do not regret it for a single second. It was tough as hell initially. I hated it. I was really homesick for the first, I want to even say the first couple of months. I had some great flatmates, well, hallmates. I was in halls at the time. But it was weird because we had one corridor full of all performers, and then we were in a massive building of all nurses and doctors because we were next to Poole Hospital. So it was really strange, and we got a lot of banging on the ceiling because we're performers, we're loud, we can't really help it. I don't really know why they put us in those halls, but there you go. So it wasn't proper student halls. You couldn't really make a lot of noise and stuff because obviously people, students that were doing nursing degrees etc. had to be up at different hours of the day, so it was hard, but we managed. We had a good time. It took me a long while to not feel so homesick. My first day when my mum left, I was just distraught, and it really started to settle in how far away I was, and I got very upset, but I pushed myself to go and meet one of my hallmates who turned out to be lovely. She was honestly one of my best friends. We hung out all the time and love her for that. We lived together in second year, which did test our friendship because we being in the same house was different than being in the same halls, because in the same halls you still had your own separate things and whatever, but it was okay. We managed, we got through it, we're still friends. But yeah, halls was weird for me because initially I hated it and I didn't want to be there and obviously wanted to leave, and I went for my induction day, and one of the guys in my course came up and tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Oh, I think you're in my class," and I was terrified. I was so anxious and so scared that I was like, and didn't really want to say anything, which now I'm looking back and I'm like, it's so stupid. You should have just had a conversation with her at least. But I was just really anxious and really homesick and really didn't want to be there, and spoke to a lot of the tutors a lot of the time about how I just wanted to go home, and they were really trying to help me to stay. They were really supportive and everything, and eventually I thought, you know what, I'm actually really enjoying it. I really enjoy my class, really enjoying what I'm acting, I'm enjoying myself, and I settled in. And it took some time, and it may take some time for any of you, especially if you are an anxious person like myself. It's hard. But once you get such a good group of friends around you and a good support system, when you're back home visiting, you miss it. And that's when I knew that I'd finally settled in, when I came back home for half term and stuff, and I missed uni. and I missed my friends. Like, obviously I loved being home and I loved seeing my friends at home and seeing my family and everything, and every time I went back it was still hard saying bye to my family, but I did love uni. And as soon as like I was back after half term, as soon as I'd hung out one evening with my friends, I was like fine again. And I know my parents were worried when they first dropped me off that I was gonna come home but I think it was good that I was so far away, because then it sort of pushed me more to stay. So if you're anxious or you're scared or you're worried, I promise you it will be okay, and I promise you it will be one of the best experiences of your entire life, because it was the best years of my life, and I've met some lifelong friends. My best friend Mike, who I know he won't mind me saying his name, I met in Bournemouth and would not be the person I am today if it wasn't for his continuous support. So love you, Mike. But it's hard. It is hard. I'm not going to say that it's easy, and I don't think I was prepared for how much different it was going to be from my college and how much more intense, because obviously it's a degree, like it is more intense, but I loved it, and I loved being back on the stage. I loved finally figuring out what my niche performance was, which was comedy, and I loved being able to show that as much as I possibly could, and being able to really focus on the fact that that was my best side of acting, and I loved it. Every single time I just loved it. It was just my favourite thing, and I loved creating performance. Like, so at the end when we did our industry project, our final performance at Bournemouth was created solely by our class. So it was written, directed, costumed, everything was done solely by us, and I loved it so much, and it was just the best feeling to be like in that creative zone with all these amazing creative people, and just all putting our ideas out and all just coming up with something that we were so proud of and that we were so excited to perform. And I loved that, and I really missed that side of like acting so much. Like, I missed the creative side of it, hence the YouTube channel. But I loved it, and it did take a while, but I have met friends for life there, and friends that I know that I could always rely on there, and it was the best 2 years of my life. And then I went on to third year. Well, hang on, no. And then I went on to second year. So second year was great. I moved into a house with 3 other guys. So I had my friend that I live with in Halls, one of my other friends I live with in Halls, and then our friend Michael, who lived in the other halls but came in to live with us, which was fab. It was a fab time. There was a lot of arguments and a lot of issues, because if you haven't lived in close proximity with those people before, obviously it's a bit weird getting used to it. There was a lot of food stealing by one person in particular, so I will just say, if you're sharing a house or something, be mindful of what you've bought, how much you've got left. I mean, for me it didn't even work if I put my name on it, it was still gone. And it was more frustrating when I deliberately got something to cook with and then I came in the kitchen and it was gone, because then that's more money out of my pocket having to repurchase it, because the person that stole it would always deny they'd stolen it when I knew who it was. Like, it was very obvious, because they'd go from one day saying, oh, I've got no food, to then cooking a meal with the ingredient that I happened to have that went missing. They'd be like, oh no, I bought this myself, but I had no money like 20 seconds ago. But it is what it is, and I will warn you, in second year, be wary of people leaving mess. I am very OCD about cleanliness, and I did not want to live in a pigsty. Unfortunately, I was the only person in that house that actually cleaned, and because I was the only person in that house, everyone took full advantage of it because they knew I would clean their stuff up. And I tried so hard to leave it and just be like, do you know what, I'm going to clean my stuff up, but it got to the point where the whole kitchen was messy, and whenever I went to cook, I didn't want to be cooking my food in somewhere that was messy with other people's ingredients. Literally takes 2 seconds. I will tell you now, do not bother with a bin rotor, because it never works. There will always be one person taking out the bin, which was also myself, because no one else will bother doing it. They will just make it overflow and think, oh, someone else will deal with it, i.e. Katie, because that's all I ever did, because I hated it. And if you have parties in your house, be mindful that if you are the cleanliness of the one you will be cleaning it up. But I would suggest that if you all agree to have a party, you all agree to clean up a certain part of the house. Instead of one person, please don't be those people that leave it to one person to clean up, because then you will be considered an asshole by that person and all of her friends. Because I can guarantee you, 2 of my friends came over after our party and I was cleaning up, and they actually helped me clean up, and they didn't even live in the house. I love them. They're great friends. Help me clean up after a house party that isn't even their house. And if you are living with people that have partners, please be mindful that the rest of your house don't want them there all the time. I get that you're with someone and whatever, but if they are there all the time, please make them help out. Like, don't let them cook and leave crap everywhere and not clean it up, because if that was me and I was staying at someone else's house, I would always clean up after myself. I could not imagine leaving stuff like that, because I don't even live there. I don't even pay the bills. I don't even pay the rent. Like, we had this one guy that I do not and will not ever get on with. He was in my class, so it was kind of difficult. I put up with him in the class, but when I came home and he was dating one of my housemates, and he was always there, when he didn't pay any rent, he didn't pay anything towards the bills, he was always using our water, he was always cooking, he was always leaving a mess and expecting everyone else to clean up from it, and he was always like sat on our sofa when we came in from uni, and it was like, if that was me, I'd be like, oh, I'll go and sit on a chair and you can have the sofa, seen as this is your house that you are paying for. But he always just left his crap everywhere. Like, he was so disrespectful, and I hate it. I can't stand it. Like, that's the reason me and my friend fell out, because of him, because he was always in the house, and I never saw her anymore because I didn't like him, and he was always there. And it was just so disrespectful. So please be mindful of other people in the house. Please be aware that people will understand you're in a relationship and expect them to be there sometimes, but if they're there 24/7, it gets frustrating, which I'm sure anyone would understand, especially if they are making a mess of the house and not bothering cleaning it up and everything like that. I wouldn't care if he just cleaned up after himself, or he put his stuff away, or he wasn't just acting as though the house was his, and that's what used to drive me mad. Stop acting as though you own this house when you don't even pay anything towards it. Just be mindful of that. Anyone watching this is going to know that I'm so frustrated. Anyone that knew me at uni will know exactly who I'm talking about and why it was so frustrating for me. So you're welcome, guys, for that little mini rant. Yeah, and always be mindful that if you're cooking with people like that have allergies in the house, please be mindful of that. Like, we didn't actually, I don't think we had anyone that had any allergies, but I know that some of my friends who were living with other people, and they had allergies, they weren't respectful of it, so obviously you're putting that person's life in danger. So please be mindful of that, please be respectful of that, and just live your best life, enjoy yourself. I'm not saying follow all the rules and blah blah blah, like, enjoy yourself, get drunk, go out, have a great time, party, have house parties, whatever, like, but just be respectful of other people. Like, if you're coming in from a night out and other people in the house haven't necessarily gone for the night out, just try and be quiet. I'm not saying you have to be like completely silent, because obviously if you're drunk sometimes you fall and sometimes you laugh, and that's what it is, but try your best to not be so boisterous and loud, and just be respectful is basically the moral of the story. Now we get to third year. So third year was my toughest year of uni. However homesick I was in first year, it was nothing compared to my third year. So I went to Southampton to finish my BA, and me and 3 other girls from Bournemouth went to Southampton, and we went into an existing class. And for me, that was the hardest transition, because I had all my friends back in Bournemouth and I'd grown so close to those guys in this 2 years that it was hard to go into an existing class where they all had their little groups and all had their little friendships and try and integrate into that class. And for such an anxious person, I wasn't prepared for that, and that's where my mental health really started to decline when I was at uni in third year. And it was hard because I wasn't really a fan of going on nights out in third year. I went on a couple, but it wasn't for me because I preferred going out in Bournemouth with all the guys in Bournemouth, so I wasn't a massive fan of going out, like drinking and stuff and whatever. I loved my flatmate I lived with in third year, oh my god. I loved her, I adored her, we had a great time in the flat, it was hilarious. It was great because I could just be my weird self, because she was friends with someone I lived with in second year, so she was at our house quite often. So I could just be myself, my weird self, and not hold anything back, and she didn't judge me, and it was great, and I loved living with her. She was fabulous. We had several problems with the house. That's one thing I will tell you, moving into a student house, check everything. Because we had mould issues, we had a rat get in. Southampton is full of rats, so it wasn't anything to do with the cleanliness of our house, they were just everywhere, and they found a gap and they got in. Luckily I wasn't actually there at the time, my flatmate was there, she opened her bedroom door and it was just chilling in the hallway. And she rang me like crying that there was a rat in the house, so we had the maintenance guys that had to come and like try and get rid of it. Essentially what they did is they boarded up the bottom half of our oven because that's where it had gone, so it was just stuck under our oven screaming its head off for weeks until I'm assuming it died, I don't know, or it got back out, I don't know. We didn't smell anything so it wasn't like it had died under the oven, was like rotting, so I'm assuming it had got back out, but it was just not a nice thing to deal with. And like it wasn't a mouse, it was like a rat. Ugh. Oh, it makes me feel horrible. But it was, I would be mindful of that in student houses. Sometimes you get mould. In both of my student houses actually I got mould, and both times our first landlord just said put the heating on, which we did, but we were like, we've got to pay bills. So he was like, oh no, your bills are included, so like don't worry, like if it goes over I'll just pay it because I know you guys have got to keep the heating on to try and get rid of the mould. And we were like, okay, cool. So he was very helpful with that. However, it didn't go away, it just got worse, and we had to keep moving the sofa just to try and cover it up, so whenever people came to the house they weren't like judging us on the fact that there was mould on the wall. Even though they know it wasn't our problem, but the landlord never actually came and bothered fixing it, and one of my housemates actually got a lot of his stuff destroyed in his wardrobe because it was covered in mould by the end of the time he moved out. So it was not ideal. And in third year our house had mould, but luckily we actually had maintenance guys that came and realised what the problem was and actually fixed it. I say fixed it, they didn't really fix it, it was still a bit of a problem, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been if they'd have just left it. So, sorry if you hear banging, people outside need to shut up. I'm aware you've heard screaming all this video, that is my neighbour's children, they don't put my head in, so I apologise for that. So I paused because of the banging outside, so I'm back. Hello. So yeah, just make sure you check everything when you're moving into a student house, and that the landlord has a good relationship with the people in the house and that he's actually gonna bother with doing stuff. So thankfully we had the maintenance guys in third year that came in and helped with anything that needed doing that we couldn't do ourselves, so that was cool. However, they were very weird, and one of them stank. Like my flatmate, I don't want to say her name in case she doesn't want me to say her name, but if you're watching this you know exactly what I'm talking about. He stank. We called them the Chuckle Brothers because one of them was called Paul and we don't know the other one's name. We were never told the other one's name, it was really suspicious, and the other one is the one that smelt, so we just called him Barry because Paul and Barry chuckle. We just decided to name him. He used our toilet once, and then when he came out of that toilet it was like a hot box of smell. It just was not nice. It was like BO mixed with God knows what else. It just did not, it was not nice. So we had to like air the bloody toilet out and like spray it to high heaven because it was just not nice. He just did not smell nice at all, but they did the job. They helped wherever they could, but they were just they were just very weird, and they kept trying to have full conversations with us, like while we're trying to get ready to go to uni or while we're trying to like do work. They would come in and like start having a conversation and you're like, Hannah, I'm busy, go just do whatever you got to do and then just leave, like I ain't got time for this. and they were just so weird. And we found out sometimes, because they had their own key, they'd just come in, like, me and my flatmate were in bed, and the next thing you know, they're in the hallway and they're like, hello, and you're like, why are you just letting yourself, like, you're just letting yourself in a flat where there is 2 females there as a grown man. Like, it's very weird. Like, it's weird. Don't just let yourself in the house. If you're knocking and there's no answer, give us a ring, or like come back later. Don't just let yourself in. It was just very weird. It was very weird and very uncomfortable. Very, I just wasn't a fan. Oh, sorry, I just had a notification on my phone. I was just checking it's nothing important. But yeah, it was very weird, very suspicious. I mean, they were lovely and they weren't doing any harm, but it was just very strange. I wouldn't, if that was me, I would not let myself in a flat with 2 females, because I could understand how that would make them uncomfortable, but obviously some people don't have that thought process of why that's a weird thing to do. But yeah, 3rd year was really, really tough. Don't get me wrong, I loved the class I went into. They were all really supportive, and I did my final performance with some of them, and they were great. Great to work with, really supportive. I just didn't open up as much as I should have done, and that is my own fault, but I was just terrified because I got so used to 2 years with these other people, and then going to the 3rd year, it was just hard. It was hard, and where my mental health was declining, I didn't want to talk about it, and I didn't want to share too much of myself because I was scared that I was going to get judged. And it was at a time where I was even more insecure than I am now. Well, I'm a lot better now, but I was so insecure back then that it was just tough. But I managed. I got my degree, which is amazing, and still to this day I'm so proud of myself for it, because my mum always said that when they dropped me off that first term, in 1st year, they didn't think I was even going to stay. So the fact that I went and then to a new uni as well, new people, new teachers, new way of doing things, new learning, like everything, and I got a degree out of it. Like, it's astonishing, and I'm so proud of myself. And yeah, just work hard, party hard. I hate that I just said that, but enjoy yourself, because it will be the best years of your life. Make friends, and I will suggest going to the Freshers things. If you're not a fan of nights out, they have like day Freshers things where you can like meet people and stuff, and that's good, because I wasn't a fan of going out all the time, but like I went to like a couple of the day Fresher things in 3rd year, and it was just a great way to meet people, and I highly suggest it. I think it's a great idea. I think that the stuff they do sort of cater for everyone. So even if you go with one person, you might come out with like 5 other friends, and I just think it's a great chance and a great time. And I think also try and make friends outside of your course if you can. I think that's why I struggled in 2nd year, going from 2nd year to 3rd year, because all of my friends were only in my course, and then I went to 3rd year and I like had no one else. So try and make friends from different places. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend just enjoying yourself, have a great time, work hard, but yeah, just enjoy yourself, and like honestly just have the best time, because it will be the best time. I am so grateful for my uni experience, and so grateful for the friends I've made for life, and so grateful for everything that everyone taught me, and being able to just be free and live my creative life is exactly what I loved. And however much I missed home, it was really great to like live on my own and stand on my own 2 feet and realise that I could do it. So I am very proud of myself and my degree, which is currently on my wall next to me. So I've got my foundation degree and my full Bachelor of Arts degree, which is insane. My BA honours, it's just, I can't even begin to explain how proud I am of myself. And I hope you all enjoy yourself, and I hope you all have the best time. And if anyone is ever nervous or anything, then feel free to message me if you need me. And I hope you have the best time, and try as best as you can just to be as confident. Even if it is an act, just be confident, because then soon enough it won't be an act and it will just be your life, and you'll be around these amazing people and just be having the best time. So live your best life, be safe, work hard, party hard, and enjoy yourselves. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. It's a little insight into my uni journey. If you ever want any other story times of uni, I have loads. So please let me know. Give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe to my channel. It would mean the absolute world to me. Hope you enjoy this new background. I think this is the definitive background for now. I really like it. I think it's really cute. I'm enjoying myself. So yeah, I hope you're all keeping safe and well, and I will see you next week. Bye guys.